Warning. Pro-Tri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge, and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and some stories may be dramatized for comedic effect. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pro-Tri News. If you are listening for the first time, we're a podcast. We talk about the professional level of triathlon racing, and we had a big one this weekend with the IRONMAN 70.3 World Championship in Marbella, Spain. Joined by the original members that started this podcast 252 episodes ago, Talbot Cox and Pat Lemieux. Talbot, how you doing?
I am doing good. It was a weekend of honeydews, and I was up the last two nights in a row, and I watched about 90% of each race in America, which is, I don't know how many people committed that much, but I did. And I would say you can't even compare the best 70.3 racing world championship we have ever seen. Maybe you can compare venues as far as a racing standpoint, men's and women. Insane.
Crazy. Pat Lemieux?
Hey guys, thrilled to be joining the show today. I'm just to piggyback off what Talbot said. The drama that we thought, we saw in the women's race, we're like, how are the men going to top this? And I don't want to say that, one had more drama than the other, but it was, both days were just jam-packed, right? Yeah. And so I think from, just being away, Mark was the only one of the four of us that was at the event this week, but we were obviously getting updates from him all week long. The venue on TV looked incredible. The crowds were incredible. For Ironman to be able to bring 6,000 participants into a city, there's something that is becoming really special about the 70.3 World Championships, and I think that Taupo will be very hard to top. But this, from what I observed online, felt and seemed incredibly special. And it seems like one of those events now that, as an athlete, the way that you saw Yella Geens and Lucy Charles cross the line, this race is important to them. This means a lot to them both, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to unpack that with you guys.
Yeah. Our usual co-host, Mark Matthews, is not joining us this week, but he will be back next week. Just kind of got a lot going on, obviously, with the race. So he gave us a little bit of some intel, and we'll get into that later on in the show. But to kick us off, we'll just do a quick recap of the women's race. So Lucy Charles Barclay led out the swim ahead of the pair of Taylor Knibb and Jess Learmonth, shortly followed by Jennifer Arnold and a small gap of around 12 women. Taylor Knibb tried to shake Lucy on the bike, but Lucy just kept close contact coming off the bike. Taylor was able to eke out a small gap on Lucy to start the run. And then the next few in were Kat, Jess Learmonth, and Sif Madsen, followed by Paula Finley, and then the pair of Marjolaine Pierre and Tanya Newbert, who were 6 minutes down from the front and 3 minutes down from the podium. Lucy Charles then closed the gap to Taylor Knibb at about 7K, and then about a K later was able to break away from Taylor and kind of settled into the lead. Taylor was second, and then with carnage ahead with Katrina Matthews and Paula Finley not finishing the race, kind of allowed for Tanya Newbert to pull through and come away with third place. So podium at the Ironman 70.3 World Championship this weekend, Lucy Charles Barclay with the win, her second Ironman 70.3 World Championship. Taylor Knibb, three-time defending champion, settles for second place, and then third place, the newcomer Tanya Newbert in third. So, and miss anything, guys?
I think we should just dive into the race because it was such an incredible race. So cool to watch from every standpoint, whether you are a fan of Kat Matthews, Lucy Charles, Taylor Knibb, it doesn't matter. Just watching good, exciting racing is what's so cool.
I want to
hit it.
I'd like to talk about the start first and foremost. Rare in an Ironman branded event that we get a proper beach start, right? And so this race starts off with all 60 women shoulder to shoulder about to run into the water. And I thought that just gives it so much more of a professional look and feel before we start the race itself. And so, obviously some venues can support this much better than others. That's why, like an Ironman World Championships, there's no beach, so they have to actually do a deep water start in Kona.
And there ain't much of a beach in Nice either.
And it was the same problem in Nice, right? And even thinking about St. George, they do that huddled start almost on the boat ramp, right?
Yeah.
But for them all to be shoulder to shoulder here, I guess it just looks so much more professional. It just looks a lot like it's a lot more dialed.
Yeah.
And so I'm a huge fan of that. So I just think from the get, we knew, no surprise. I think Lucy Charles ended up having a gap in the swim. We thought that maybe there would be one or two women that tag along with her. And in this case, there wasn't, right? Sorry, It's Sunday afternoon. I got all the neighborhood kids that are beyond excited. They're obsessed with football. So they go straight in the field in the backyard now. And I'm not going to see my oldest now till dinner time. So, I mean, for me, that really set the tone, right? And then you were kind of looking to see, okay, when they come out of the water, where's Paula? Where's Kat? And I don't think, were there any major surprises in the swim that we weren't really expecting with deficits or gaps?
No, I don't think. I think Jess Learmouth. I think we all thought that Jess was going to swim with Lucy, and I think it was a little surprising that she didn't go with Lucy, but not surprised that she went with Taylor. I think with it also being a wetsuit race, it kind of filled in a little bit more than probably it would have with a non-wetsuit type of swim. Yeah, there wasn't really anyone else that was outside of the swim group that we were like, oh, maybe they should have made that group or whatever.
Yeah, so I thought then all of a sudden, that was pretty straightforward, and then it's ultimately going to see who gets to work on the bike. And I think we were all anticipating what this opening, we'll call it 10K to the base of the climb. And then we knew that there were going to be fireworks on the climb, right?
Yeah.
This made me, though, question Lucy's run in to Kona and what truly happened to Lucy in Kona. Because Taylor went by Lucy, and I was like, this race is over. This race is over. And to see Lucy surge back, hang on, attack after attack, gap open up, close the gap on the downs. This is, in my opinion, one of the best Lucys we have ever seen, outside of her phenomenal Kona win a couple years ago, which was, I think, the greatest performance in history of the sport for the women's side.
And the 70.3 World Championship in St. George, I would say.
Yes, I still think this is more important. Wire to wire, but to deal with races, it's one thing when you're in control of the pace the whole day. It's another thing when you're dealt with adversity.
Yeah, fair.
We shouldn't have been surprised about this, right? The year that we've seen from Lucy, you think about the commanding win that she had in London, and it was dealt in a way where she was in and amongst traffic all day.
Yeah.
The same thing happened effectively in Fréjus, right?
Yeah.
I had to pick the bear case for her on why she would lose this race. I knew that she would be quite good. And I think both, obviously, people had question marks next to her and Taylor Knibb on how they would come back from Kona. But what did it show, I think, ultimately, why those two were on the podium?
Yeah.
Because they had something mentally that they still wanted to give to this weekend, right?
Yeah.
They wanted this race big time. And I think we know they both didn't have perfect preparation the last month coming in, but this is something that they wanted deep, deep down, right? And so this win that Lucy had for me was so similar. Talbot, big exhale.
Talbot, you breathing into the mic, Talbot.
No, I'm just excited. I'm still breathing heavy from watching it.
Sorry to our listeners. This was just one that they wanted bad, right? And so we shouldn't be surprised about that. We saw this was Lucy's third performance like this year, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, on the run, Lucy putting down the fastest run split. Lucy now is the best all-around triathlete, I would say, we've seen maybe ever. We've never seen someone be so dominant on the swim, pretty dominant on the bike whenever she wants to be, and pretty dominant on the run. Is this the best? I would say, is this the best one? Is this the best performance we've ever seen at a 70.3 World Championship?
It's hard to argue against one other performance, which is her performance at St. George, and I don't want to in any way discredit Taylor's performances either. I just think that, as I mentioned, it's a different race than when you're in control the whole day.
Yeah.
It's a completely different race. And so we didn't even see the best Taylor Knibb, and we didn't see the best Lucy Charles Barclay. That's the craziest part about it. To do this after that and to see their gap in training and stuff, I mean, it's just like so cool.
Look, I think this ultimately will be the performances that we had from Lucy Charles, Taylor Knibb, and Tanya Newbear, who we'll talk about, and Kyle called for third place. I think all three of them are immensely proud of their podium performances in their own way, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a massive depth of field here. There was a massive amount of, ultimately like DNFs on the road that we didn't expect.
Yeah.
And this is why one day World Championship racing is so special, because, look, when Kat Matthews started running and she only comes into T2 2.5 minutes down, and you think about the deficit that she almost overcame in Taupo a year previous, you're thinking,
and the gap in Kona this year.
You're thinking this is a pretty big opportunity now for Kat, right?
Yeah.
And especially with the first splits that she put down in that first 5 or 6K, you're like, look, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden call that, and when she disappeared off the tracker, that wasn't any, that's just a completely, you can't predict that.
Yeah.
Much the same with even Paula Finlay, how the way that she set up for a potential podium performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this allows an opportunity for Tanya Newbear to come in for third, Georgia Taylor Brown to come in for fourth, right? Where when you start T2, you're thinking, if you said, okay, this is how they're going to get to third and fourth, you'd say, explain to me how that's going to happen, because I'm not seeing it right now, right?
Yeah. Let's do a little bit of a deep dive, do a lap around Taylor Knibb. This season for Taylor, her only win is at T100 Vancouver. She's had a handful of podiums, podiumed here at this race at second place. However, if you go back and look at results from 24, she had 6 wins at the middle distance. In 23, she had 3 wins at the middle distance. 22, she had 2 wins at the middle distance. So this is like the first time I would say in recent memory that we've seen Taylor kind of either all the other girls. Do you think all the other girls are closing the gap, or do you think Taylor is finding things that maybe she's making mistakes or things that she needs to learn from?
I mean, certainly the other women are trying harder, right? That there's been an evolution that's been led and pushed by Taylor with her dominance on the bike. So yes, other women are investing a huge amount of time and energy to level up. I think we got to be really careful how we nitpick somebody's year that's had, I think, all podiums, right?
Yeah.
She's just been on not the top step except for one time, right?
Yeah.
And almost won a world championship, and lost it with 2K to go. So
yeah, I only say that because after the race,
No.
Slow Twitch did an interview with her, Kevin McKinnon, and he said, well, what do you need to work on for next year? And she said everything. So it's just like she understands that she needs to improve on in every aspect of the game.
The athletes that are the best, right, will sit there and go, yeah, I do need to challenge myself in every facet of my job.
Yeah.
That will be a parallel across the entire men's field, the entire women's field.
Yeah.
They're their largest critics. So no, I think that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah. Third place, Tanya Newbear. I mean, she had a pretty impressive performance at Bahrain last year. Second place to Georgia Taylor Brown, and that's how she got the qualification. Raced WTCS all season long. Kind of came into form later on in the year with top 10 sprinkled there and thereabouts. Her third place at Way High was kind of like a, hey, she's getting really, really fit. And then a top 10 at Wollongong at the grand final a few weeks ago. And then coming into this race, there was a lot of people in the pro ranks that were saying, hey, watch out for Tanya, watch out for Tanya. She's going to be someone that is going to be a factor in this race. She ended up then being a factor in the race, coming home third place. However, after the race, said with Slow Twitch and Kevin McKinnon, good interview on Instagram if you haven't seen it, that she's going back to race short course again. She wants to go to the Olympics. Do you guys think that maybe this is something that she should dabble in 70.3 and do Olympic cycle, or do you think that following the Olympic dream still the right thing to do for someone that just came out a podium at a World Champs?
Look, the Olympics provides an intrinsic value that for those that can't do it themselves may not understand, right? But we know that the 5-ring circus is something that a lot of people chase for their own rationale. Obviously, the German Federation, they must have tremendous support right now, given their success on the women's side. So Tanya probably makes a nice, comfortable living or setup from the German Federation. And so that's the big question. Like, she has the ability to dabble in both. And she might look at it and go, hey, next year I only got to do 170.3 to get my qualification again. And it's kind of an end of season bonus. But the difference is next year with 70.3 Worlds in September, it's going to be in the heart of the World Series calendar. And so this may have actually just been like a perfect timing situation. But certainly the way that she propels the field forward on the bike in the World Series races, the long course wasn't going to be a big issue for her, and she made quick work of it.
Yep. Going through just the results from the top 10, Georgia Taylor Brown, a 4th place, probably her best result at a 70.3 to date, barring the win at 70.3 Bahrain last year. Jillian, our girl who does all of our graphics and our Instagram and things like that, she's pretty close with Vincent Georgia. And she said, hey, Georgia could be lethal. She's got to figure out her nutrition. And it seems that she was able to do that. Her only complaint was her swim. So huge result for Georgia Taylor Brown, come home with the top 5. Marjolaine Pierre, who Talbot and I caught up with after Kona, said she was going to change her bike fit around. She had some issues in Kona, fixed her bike fit, was able to come away with the top 5. Huge result for her camp and Coach Reese. So Solveig finished 6th place on the day. Top 5 was her goal, so I'm sure that she's thrilled with a top 6. Jess Learmonth, who has now came over to the middle distance pretty much full time with T100 contract, 7th place. Lizzie Rayner, breakout result for her after being, I believe, 16th last year in New Zealand. Hannah DeVette, who was 15th last year in New Zealand, come away with 9th. So both them improving on last year's results. Ellie Salthouse rounding out the top 10.
Yeah. Great job. Yeah, great. I mean, great racing all around. I think people will reflect on this women's race for years to come. And
I think I want to highlight on 2 athletes. I think the hardest one to watch was Paula. I think that there's so many, they built such an incredible community, and she set herself up for such a good position. And the hats off to her for rolling the dice and just going for it. Such a bummer to not be able to see her run off of it and struggling with an injury, because I mean, just it crushed to watch her. Also, really, really wish we got to see the run battle with Kat. I don't have too much sympathy for Kat, mainly because she walked away with a $200,000 check, the highest paid athlete on the weekend, her and KP, and which both of them are definitely not satisfied. But just wanted to shout out to both of them. Phenomenal performances, and I think it goes to show how incredible these athletes are, that even when they know, like an athlete like Kat, like, I'm struggling with something, but you know what? I owe it to the fans and I owe it to the athletes to get out there and still lay it down and go for it. Because a lot of them could have just said, it's not worth the trip. Hey, I'm dealing with an injury. I'm not racing. And DNFs suck. I think we all hate them. We all hate to see them. But for them to give it everything they have and pull out, I mean, they showed up and they raced. So hats off to them for sure.
Moving on to do you guys want to do Pro Series and then the men's race, or do you want to do Pro Series last?
I think we could do a whole separate show on next week on the Pro Series and kind of go over the recaps of the races and stuff.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, men's race. The swim was led out by Crociani, who is, of no surprise, pretty much the guy who we thought would do it. And then, as Pat called on our preview pod, there was 40 dudes strung out over 90 seconds after that. So Crociani had about a 20-second lead. The only surprise from that one, I feel like, is Gustav Eden didn't make that main group. So he was just off the back and then kind of just on the back foot all day. The bike pack was then dominant, or the group was basically dominated by bike pack kind of all day, and then the split happened around 20 kilometers, and guys kind of jockeyed for position thereon. 9 guys came off the bike together in the front group. Rico Bogan had the fastest bike split of the day. And then moving on to the run, you had Jamie Riddle raced super aggressively, fought in it until about 7K with Rico Bogan, and then Yella and Christian Blumenfeld kind of just battled it out for the lead. Casper Stornes and Jonas Schoenberg battled it out for third, fourth. Casper broke away from Jonas around 16 kilometers and didn't really look back. The end was Yelligines and Christian Blumenfeld going toe-to-toe for 21 kilometers, and down the finish chute, making that right-hand turn, Yella edged right in front of Christian and kind of kept it close to the barriers, dropped him, and was able to pull away for the victory.
Okay, now what I'm haven't had a clear understanding of is we obviously saw the clip of Yelligine's derailleur not working, and then we saw another clip of it not working at the top of the hill. So do we actually know the mechanical situation of his bike throughout the race?
Yeah, I do. I talked with him after the race. So what happened is they're going through the roundabout. He hit his limit and toppled over, hit the barrier. It broke. His TT bars then went crooked. His Wahoo broke off, and his rear derailleur was bent, so he couldn't go into the smallest chainring. And then he stopped at the top of the first climb to bend it back into place. And then, assuming it worked. So after that, however, he rode without power all day. So raced super aggressive to go just really off a feel. And he said he enjoyed that. So don't be surprised if he doesn't race with a bike computer going forward.
So I'm assuming what happened was, because I think he was running a 1x, so his derailleur bent in, so he probably couldn't go into his easiest gear because then it would be rubbing, the derailleur cage would be rubbing on the disc, I'm assuming is what happened. And so then what he would do is he'd manually pull the derailleur back out away from the wheel to get the hanger straightened out again. I'm assuming that's what happened, and that would make
he went. I think he said he went with a 58 chainring.
Yeah. So that's what happened. I mean, absolutely incredible. You never know. I mean, certainly these things don't normally help. It may have helped him in the sense that, he didn't look at what he was doing, because then, I mean, this group of 9 that got away on the bike, I mean, they were absolutely rolling, because then the next group came in at, I think it was 3.5 or 4 minutes down for 10th. So they were absolutely motoring.
Yeah. I would go as far to say the greatest 70.3 performance in the history of the sport. And a lot of people are thinking, oh, Talbot, oh, South Africa, oh, Jan Frodeno ran a 106.
Before Super Shoes.
Blah, 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 blah. It's one thing to control a race. It's one thing to run a fast time. To be an athlete, come out, he knew exactly where he needed to be in a swim. He was dealt adversity on the bike with a crash. Adrenaline's pumping. You get back up, got to pull over again. I mean, it was not the perfect race for Yella. To ride at the speeds in which these guys travel is absolutely insane. And it's a different, I would say nearly a different sport from when it was in 2018. Like here's a perfect example. Second fastest bike split on the day in 2018 was Sam Appleton. And Sam Appleton averaged 283 watts. He weighs about, I would say, roughly 70 kilograms. He'd probably be insulted if I said that. I don't know. That's around 155 pounds, 150, 155. Okay. If you were to go over to Jamie Riddle, who we have his power, weighs 71, normalized power 368. I mean, this is like a different sport. So the fact that Yella had to get off his bike twice, surge back up to that group to not get dropped by them, what it took to stay in that front pack, then get off, run toe to toe, and run a 107 with a sprint finish is just on a way warmer day than cold, rainy South Africa. How can this not be the greatest performance of all time? And so bummed for KB. I mean, so bummed. But I think it just shows, and KB even said it, like he said this is an average year for him. I mean, Yelagin says there was no one, I don't care who you are, if you didn't qualify for this race, no one was beating Yelagins today.
Do you think he's the new king of the middle distance?
It's hard to say that, right? Because let's just take KB and Yelagins for a second. KB will look at the start of his year and we'll talk about the domination that he did in Texas. We'll talk about the domination.
Oceanside.
I mean, what could have been in Oceanside without the puncture? What he did in Frankfurt, right? But would KB lose all of those races to exchange it out with the third that he got in Kona and the second that he got in Marbella? Of course. Yelagins, for instance, had a bunch of podiums at the start of the year. To my knowledge, didn't win anything, right? But he podiumed at.
He won Geelong to start the year.
Okay, but that's a C level race.
It was a Pro Series race.
I know it's a Pro Series race, but I'm just saying this was not a Marbella level field. It wasn't even close. And then he delivered on the day in Marbella. I mean, so I think they both had great years in their own right, but it's ultimately you're going to look at the person that got the title and you're going to think, I'd give everything up to have the title again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did it all healthy, didn't have any injuries. He clearly sat down with his coach. They made a plan for the year, and he executed it. I'm sure, of course, he said he would have loved to probably win both series, the 200 series. I'm sure people would argue, well, if Hayden was in this race, he would have won.
We can get into that later in the hot takes.
You got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, I just think that I don't think anyone was beating Yella today. I think that if there was anyone that could beat Yella today, it was Christian Blumenfeld, and he fell 3 seconds short. So the rest of the field, how we look at Casper, I mean,
greatest all-around athlete this season, even though he didn't win the Pro Series. I mean, KB won the Pro Series, but I would say Casper racing, winning an Ironman World Championship in Nice, and then the third place here. Maybe that trumps a third place in Nice and a second place here at the World Championship that KB had. What do you think, Pat?
It's tough to say. I mean, look, everybody's just going to want to win the championships.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And that's not, I don't want to throw shade at anybody's success or not this year. It's just like, that's the way it is.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fourth place was Jonas Schoenberg. Is that right?
Yep.
Huge season for him. I mean, to come across from racing short course for the last 10 plus years, and then now to be a factor in pretty much every race, whether it was an Ironman or a 70.3, huge result for Jonas Schoenberg. Had a brand new shiny bike for this race, raced super well, super aggressive, and was in it until about 7K to go. So huge result for him. Rico Bogan, 5th place, fastest bike split of the day. I would say Rico had a phenomenal season. Had a huge win at a 200 race and raced incredible at the was it the Venice Jeslo where he put down like 400 watts for the whole 56-mile bike while everyone else sat in the pack. Incredible. Magnus Ditlev, a lot left to be desired probably for this season for Magnus. 6th place at the 70.3 World Championship and then was injured for the Ironman World Championship in Nice. Had that flat tire at St. George. Just is that kind of a step back for Magnus this season, you think? Or
No, I mean, look, the guy got pneumonia for Nice, right?
Yeah.
And got a puncture in St. George. I mean, yes. So if you look on paper, okay, sure. Do you wish you had some better results here and there? Yes, but obviously, the runway that he had for Ironman South Africa, he made the most of it. I think it's just this is the level that the sport's at. This race was insanely stacked. So you get a 6th place here.
Yeah.
You can hang your hat on that and go, that's a great result.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think if I'm Magnus or in Magnus's camp or on Magnus's team, I'm sitting here next season and I got 3 races circled. You know what they are? Challenge Roth, 70.3 Worlds in Kona. And we'll see what happens with Magnus from there.
I don't know.
Magnus has won Roth 3 times, and all 3 times he won, he had an incredible season. So maybe he needs to go back racing Roth.
I think that if I was Magnus, I wouldn't do that. I would be circling and racing extremely smart because I think that Magnus can potentially win Kona and win the Ironman series with smart racing and smart execution. So if I was Magnus, that's what I would be doing, is circling that series and saying, I don't see Magnus, though, racing 4 Ironmans. I don't see that happening.
No chance.
No.
But he would have to race Roth.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
It will be interesting. But I believe if Magnus raced smart and picked races throughout the whole year, he could win the Ironman series and potentially win Kona.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess the forecasting that we should be doing here from Marbella, what did we learn in Marbella, knowing that next year we're going to another hilly 70.3 course?
Everyone needs classified hubs.
Kyle called me this week and said, I still don't really understand what a classified hub is. So if you were on last week's show, Mark and I geeked out a little bit on some bike dork stuff, and Kyle had to pause us.
So such a technical course, so different. Chatting with Reese right now, and we're talking about this. At least this course is hilly, but it rewards good bikers, and you're still able to go fast downhill. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm still personally not the biggest fan of Nice. Maybe I'm just a hater, but
do we think
watching this course is just I watched this course with envy, FOMO, and jealousy that I was not there. Because I was just like, I would do anything to go watch the World Championship here again. I mean, precision hydrations, activation, everything about this. I mean, just looks insane.
But we got to talk about does the European crew? When I say European crew, I mean the Ironman crew. They put on what seems to be unreal 70.3 Worlds.
Let's get it. Let's finish up the top 10 and we'll get into that because that's part of the how we're going to grade this race. 7th place, the kid from South Africa, Jamie Riddle.
Woo!
Amazing season for Jamie. For him to come across after racing in Paris to come across and race kind of a lot of different things. Kind of did like a little bit of a potpourri season. Pick your own adventure. He did some T100, did some 70.3, did a couple Ironmans. Raced super well at Nice Ironman World Championship, came away with the top 10, and then also another top 10 at 70.3 World Championship. So that's something that he can kind of hang his hat on. That's a kid that he's going to be in this sport for a really, really, really long time, has an amazing team around him. His dad's been in the sport for 20, 30, 40 years. So he's someone that he's going to have a lot of knowledge and a big camp around him that, I mean, he could be a force to be reckoned with at World Championship level racing to come. So another one, kind of a newbie, Simon Westerman, who is another Olympic athlete coming across, had a fantastic swim, fantastic bike, and fantastic run to round out his day. So shout out to Simon for fantastic racing at the 70.3 World Championship. It's going to be interesting to see how many of these Olympic athletes are going to kind of have some dates circled that want to maybe do some 70.3s and things like that as we get into the Olympic qualification period next year. So 9th place, Vincent Louis, a huge season for him with the T100 contract, and then raced super well at Roth, coming in across and raced for a 9th place here in this race. I mean, best looking kid in the game. Yeah, always, every race.
He had a great race. Yeah.
And then 10th place, Miguel Hidalgo. I think a lot of people had him kind of higher on their list due to his result at the 70.3 in Brazil earlier this year. Was one of the, I think it was top 3 or top 5 fastest times ever at a 70.3. So a lot of people had him high on their list. For him to come away with the top 10 after focusing on WTCS all year and was just 3rd at the grand final, a 10th place for Miguel is great. I heard that a lot of people were questioning his riding ability, and for him to ride super well on this course took a lot. And so for him to come away with the top 10, I'm sure it's something he's super happy about. So that's your top 10 men, top 10 women. Let's get into kind of the race itself. So we touched a little bit on it. So let's get into the grade for the race. For me, the things that stood out, Spain from short course all the way up to long course has an incredible, I'd say, backing. They have a Grand Prix series similar to the French Grand Prix and the Bundesliga in Germany. They have a series that usually is very well supported, and it was no different that you could see on the broadcast with this race. So crowds were incredible. Race week content. You guys want to get into that?
I think they just knocked it out. I mean, I don't know what much more you could say. From the broadcast, the European broadcast team to everything was just phenomenal. I mean, I think we can all agree the camera switches and the final developments of the races were like, come on, guys, we love Jonas Schomburg, but we're seeing a sprint battle in the final kilometer to go, and you cut to Jonas who's sitting in 4th. Like, we want to see what's going on. I'm sure it's maybe just a really technical finish. They can't make every finish made for stuff like this. I mean, it is an amateur race as well. They only have so much room. Would have probably done the finish a little bit different, but also, like, we wouldn't even be saying that if it was a dominant lead. You know what I mean? So it's just like you saw Yella and KB fighting for that inside corner. I mean, in a very respectful way, kind of trading it, and Yella got the better of it. Let the fan of the finish and the camera shots and stuff. You didn't get to really see it unfold, but other than that,
Course. What did you guys think of the course? A++?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough not to give this an A+. It's tough not to think too that you wouldn't be excited if they named Marbella again in future years.
Oh, dude. I love North America. I hope that the next time it rings up for here after Nice and what do we got? 2028. I hope it goes
27. We don't have a 27.
I hope it goes back to Marbella. I want to go.
Yep. Yeah, it just seemed like the week leading in was really, really good. I had 3 athletes there. Not one of them said a bad thing about it. All of them were like, it's great here. So I just think it's just this brutal reminder that this sport and this property, Ironman, they
can pick courses. They can
pick courses, but then the flip side to that is like, man, don't they wish they could sell 6,000 entries for the big one instead of the 3,000? Because it's like this, to be able to do it. Here's the thing. I just love the 2 days of racing. I love the women's only day. I love the men's only day. And I realize that logistically,
it's tough though for media, for everyone else.
Of course. And so to do a back-to-back Ironman day it's just too much.
Operations, it's impossible to do it.
You couldn't do it. But the 70.3 format, I love.
I mean, you talk to the Ironman staff, the back-to-back Ironman days with the day buffer between, it was a Thursday, Saturday in Kona.
They never slept.
They all said that they have PTSD from it. That's insane. They're like, never again. Now they said they would quit before they ever did that again.
Yeah. Yeah, but the 2 days of racing format, the Saturday, Sunday, I love.
Oh, for 70.3. And
I wish-
gosh, Ironman knows how to put on a world championship.
Yeah, I wish that they would alternate it. So next year it's
Men first, then women.
Exactly.
Do they not do that?
No.
I don't think so. I've never seen it that way. But let's get into the big ugly, the broadcast. This was something that we got an ungodly amount of DMs from. Ironman's gotten a bunch of comments on even things that they've posted about it. This is something that they've got to improve next year. Like there's no question about it.
Walk us through, Kyle. What were the gripes? What were the issues that people had?
So number one was just the camera shots. So they would just pan away and show the landscape or the hotel or the marina. Another couple of the gripes were obviously the amount of ads, which we've had this all season long. You can get a VPN, watch it on YouTube. It's a bit better. Ironman still does the picture-in-picture box of, at least now we're seeing like a small 9-inch thing of what's going on rather than just losing the broadcast entirely. There was gripes about the finish line camera shot for the women's race for when Lucy was coming in, and then the last, obviously, 2 miles of the men's race today when they panned to Casper and Jonas or the marina or things like that. So another gripe was, but this is not something that Ironman can control, is people were complaining in the U.S. of like, we can't even watch the race because it's in the middle of the night. And it's like, yes, and the only way to do it correctly would be to get a VPN and watch on YouTube. Otherwise, you're paying, I think, $100 for Outside TV Plus to rewatch it. So that's another thing that people were complaining about. And then, for me personally, I think they have to get another person in the broadcast booth. Will McCloy did an incredible job alongside Belinda Granger at the WTCS Grand Final in Wollongong, calling the final, basically making the final call of them coming down the finish chute. If you go back and rewatch, I'm not calling for people's jobs, but like, if you close your eyes and just listen to it, it was like calling a golf match. It was awful.
So part of that problem is the people that were calling the race are in Boulder from the studio.
No,
They
they were
called-
on site. They were there.
Yeah, they called.
The main commentator was there. Yes.
Okay.
The pros coming in, that was great. Having Sam Laidlow come on, having Lucy come on, Daniela, Mirinda, Luke, like having all those people come on to help fill in some things was fantastic.
So
But their main commentator has to be someone with energy.
So why? Okay, let's go back to the beginning, the outside watch situation. Why can't? What is the reluctance for that to be changed?
I think it's a contract that's, I don't know if it's renewed. I don't know the current state of the contract. So maybe we can ask ChatGPT, but right now, I don't know what the current state of it is. I do hope that it expires soon because
So in a
I just, yeah, such incredible racing. I hate to get caught up on the broadcast.
well, I know, but we've pumped Ironman's tires for 43 minutes. I think this is a place where we can offer critical feedback.
Yeah.
And so I think this, to me, again, in my line of work, I interface with a lot of partners. This is a problem that the partners that have been entertaining deals with Ironman at a deep 7-figure level have noted. They just said the broadcast product isn't up to that level yet to invest in this product. And so I think that is something that they could look at. I don't think YouTube is the be all end all, but what it removes is friction, right? So for us that we slept in and we want to rewatch a race and we just can't go find it easily on YouTube, that hurts the Ironman brand. We should be able to watch that race on YouTube on the trainer this winter, whenever we want, right?
If I was Scott Deroux, I would literally go to Outside. The craziest thing is their app. Their whole thing is to push people to their app. It is the worst streaming platform on the face of the planet. The biggest complaint on it is you can't do picture-in-picture. And a lot of the US based that do tune into the race or use the outside app will know what I'm talking about. Every time you reload the app, you have to watch 4 ads, so 2 minutes of ads. So you just watch 4 minutes ads, you're watching the race again. You need to reply to a text message. You click to that, and the picture doesn't go up to the top of the screen on like iOS devices.
Yeah.
Then you go back to the app, and it does that. I mean, we could sit here and complain forever and ever. That is, if I was Scott, I would literally say, this is so simple. It's all in iOS coding. They could easily do it, but they don't want to because they want those apps to be played. The other thing is, and like I said, someone even asked us this on Slow Twitch, why don't we put more pressure on the broadcast? I feel like that this is just a hill that no matter how much we talk, no matter how much we complain, no matter how much we do, maybe we could take all of our suggestions and go sit down with Ironman and do it. I still believe that there is, and I could be wrong on this, I don't know this factually, the person calling the show, the director or whoever you want to call it, does not understand the sport. There's someone who's just brought in to do the cameras. If you're watching the final kilometer of an Ironman 70.3 World Championship and you have first and second athlete with a running in the final kilometer, and you're trying to see they're changing positions and stuff, and you have a drone shot, you have a follow camera, and you have static camera, why in the hell are you cutting to fourth place running solo? It is like, that is a director who is like, okay, we've been on these athletes too long, let's go to cam 2. It's like, no, you stay on that. And that is just a director who doesn't know what he's doing, and he's trying to give someone a clean, beautiful shot. He's like, this shot looks a little messy with these two athletes. Let's go to cam 6. And it's just, they don't know what they're doing. I could be wrong on that. I'm sure someone could come on and defend. But until Ironman hires a director who really understands and says, like, understands triathlon, understands the athletes, understands who's the good athletes, they have been better. But like, I see someone like a Matt Lieto, like, that can call show, be like, watching the live tracker. We need someone to get on Kat Matthews. She's moving through on the bike. Like, they need someone who understands what cams to take.
Yeah, Matt would
Just
be
my 2 cents.
Matt would be perfect for that job.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Matt would be, because Matt actually understands. Of course, I can criticize Matt on some of the like commentating stuff or knowing the athletes.
You're just
Well, whatever
mad 'cause
that.
he had ice cream at Javi one year.
Yeah, hilarious. Love that. but like, he understands it, and so I still think the people calling the show, they're wanting to go to pretty scenic shots instead of understanding how the race actually happens.
Yep.
I'm sorry for my TED Talk. I'll get off my soapbox.
No,
My 2 cents.
Look, this isn't just our high horse, right? I mean, like Kyle said, we had an overwhelming amount of DMs about it.
It was ridiculous. I was like, hot takes, and it was 90% of it was talking about the broadcast.
It was all over Slow Twitch. Like, this to me is of the utmost importance, because the broadcast is the feature product almost of how Ironman gets a huge amount of their sponsorship dollars and how they're showcasing the athletes. So the broadcast product needs to be perfect.
It is now at a point where I would pay money to watch the Pro Series from Ironman. I would pay $100. $100 a year, sign me up. I watch 24 Formula One races. I pay $110 a month to Formula One for F1 TV, Ironman TV. Boom, done.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer on my end as well.
And you could do it in tiers. You could say, hey, if you want to watch it no ads, it's this amount. If you want to watch it with ads, it's this amount.
Maybe we could do this. Maybe we could curate a survey, put together top suggested things, or maybe ask Ironman if they want us to curate a survey, and then just relay it to them on things that people suggest they fix. There was, like I said earlier, we have a awesome someone made a forum on Slow Twitch for Pro Tri News giving us feedback and stuff. Someone brought this up to our attention, like, why don't you guys put more pressure on? Maybe it's something that we've been passionate about drafting. Why don't we do a survey on Pro Tri News and try to get some of our critical feedback from our things, see what the most talked about suggestions are? Some of them are a bit unrealistic. I'm aware of that. Like, it's a lot different to cover an Ironman than it is a Super League event where it's a 1K loop and they're running around, like, completely different. But we could get some
The stuff,
General feedback.
look, and the stuff that we're asking for is all very realistic.
It's very realistic. Very realistic.
It costs no additional money than what they're already outlaying, right?
Yeah. Like it's so realistic. It's like, hey, let's get the main commentator and let's have him commentate on historical race finishes and teach him how to commentate on historical race finishes. Like, redo that practice instead of what Kyle says. Yeah, and here comes Christian and Yella, and they're both going to fight for it. Like, those clips right there are those clips that go viral on social media. And when you don't have an enthusiastic and it's hard.
The other example of this, right, is the clip of Kat that would have gone viral dropping out of the race effectively. That the timing of that, Mirinda caught it right as they were going to commercial. So what went on social was Mirinda opening it saying, "Oh, it looks like she has a cramp." And then they chopped to commercial. And so then the rest of it, when it went on Instagram, was silent for the remaining 40 seconds.
See,
right?
that's where someone in the broadcast studio
should
say, no commercial. We hold until this is done. We hold until this is done. When they're done and they spent 3 minutes on that, cut to commercial now.
Yeah.
But it's like, people don't understand. It's like you got a guy in a studio and he's been told to deliver X, and he's like, all right, we're coming up on hour 3 hours and 20 minutes. We're cutting commercial in 10 seconds. In 3, 2, 1. It's like, no, call the show. Understand the sport. Maybe there's not enough money in sport to invest into a director like that. I don't know, but these are very easy things to do.
It's $500 to do a 70.3 right now. There's enough money, I think.
Yeah. So
let's move into hot takes from the race, and then we'll get into what race is coming up this weekend. Hot take number one, the one that everyone DM'd us, the 5% of people that weren't complaining about the broadcast, this was the DM. Would Hayden have won? Would Hayden and Wild have won the Ironman World Championship this year? I personally say no, for 2 reasons. One, if you watch his latest YouTube video, he pulled up with an injury after the WTCS race, had a niggle. 2, he didn't qualify. That's the bottom line. He had his crash, whatever. He didn't qualify. And number 3, I think that Hayden is the best athlete in the world right now at the T100 distance. Yella beat him at this distance last year. And Yella proved to everyone that wasn't there in Taupo that, hey, my win last year was legit.
Yeah. I think Hayden's got, I think it's up to 5 now. Insane wins, right? All credit to him for those. But where he would have got exposed here is the opening 10K of the bike on the back of what is normally for him a rear pack swim, right? And so would he have been in that Gustav Eden group, and then he just wouldn't have, those 9 guys that became the front group would have still become the 9 guys that became the front group, and he would have just, the train would have left the station, right?
Hey, here's one for you. Do you think Gustav Eden is a better rider or Hayden Wild?
I am going to say Hayden Wild here.
Yeah, 100%. Hayden Wild is a better rider. So he could have maybe closed that, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know that he would. I just don't know that he could have chewed through 35 guys and then been to the front group. That's a very hard one for me to see how it happens.
I would say no, he doesn't win. But the reason why I don't think he would have won is this was not Hayden's focus. Hayden had 42 opportunities to qualify for the Ironman 70.3 World Championship. Hayden's focus was to win in a dominating fashion the T100 series, and he is executing it flawlessly with a nasty season injury. Do I think Hayden could have won this race if Hayden targeted this race like he targeted the 200 series? I think there's a possibility he could. I think he would have known this course. He would have worked on the bike. He would have known what was coming against the Norwegians. I think there's a chance that Hayden could have been running toe-to-toe with them and potentially edged out Hella and beaten KB. Yes, there is, but that wasn't Hayden's focus this season. And it's clear that it was Yella's, because look at how he's done the T100 series. It's clear that this was his focus, not the 200 series. So if I think Hayden would have targeted this race, I think he potentially could have won. But if he got a wild card and last second thrown in, don't think he would have won because he didn't target this.
I'm gonna inject a hot take here. Does the 70.3 Worlds become even more competitive now next year? Now that the T100 has done away with contracts and has lowered the race requirement for the series. So now all of a sudden you get an Ashley Gentle doing it. You get a Hayden Wild that he can fit in a qualifying race. K-Watt much easier. Like, thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. I think next year will probably be the most competitive full Ironman World Championship and half Ironman World Championship we have ever seen.
Yeah.
Should Yellow Gaines have gotten a penalty for almost tripping or for tripping KB? There was a video that we put on our page that Jillian was able to get, and it wasn't on purpose. So that's the reason why I'm like, no. But what would have happened if KB fell or whatever? I think Rubin's racing.
Yeah, same for me.
I'm not. KB will be the first to tell you that he didn't intrude and he didn't cut him off, and that Yellow Gaines was a better athlete on the day. I don't like. It was an unfortunate finish, but what is Ironman going to do? Like, direct their whole venue for a potential that there's a sprint finish?
I think the only thing they should be thinking about now is that there's a couple races now that every time this happens, I don't want to say it's a cloud, but there is such a focus on it. So let's use the Rudy Von Berg, Lionel Sanders in Oceanside from a few years back. Mm-hmm. Let's use the sprint finish in Sweden. And now let's use the sprint finish at World Championships. I don't think that it's asking too much to say, hey, inside 500 meters to go, we'd like there to be no more 90-degree turns. The road can deviate a little left or a little right, but we can't be doing these like chop, 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 all over the joint. And I think that's something that they should look at and go, how do we make that happen? I don't think
Fair.
that's.
I like that. I
don't think that's asking too much.
Yeah, I like.
We have the same thing at Nice this year. There was that little chicane right towards the finish.
Yeah.
We'll see. How do you guys feel about 20 meters right now after watching this race?
This is a no-brainer.
And it's abs with a hill to see the group that big with a hill. I mean, you're talking. They'll get away with it one more year at the 70.3 Worlds in Nice because there's another hill again. It is a no-brainer to 20. We don't even need to talk about this. It's clear as day if you're Ironman.
This is one about the finish lines. Where would Lionel Sanders have finished? Top 10? Top 5?
Top 10.
Top 10.
He would have got whoever got 9th place, Vincent Louis.
I looked at his swim. I looked at all the times. I analyzed it. I was chatting with Reese about this now. I think that it would have been a 4-minute deficit out of the water. Let's say just be realistically on the bike. Let's just say he lost a minute. I don't think that would happen. I think that he would actually make up time on the front. But let's just be realistic. He would have lost a minute. And then had a phenomenal run, maybe ran like 2 minutes slower than the front guys. I mean, Lionel's always ran. I mean, do you know how many times he's ran under 110? He's ran so many 109s, 108s. And so I think he goes top 10 easily.
Yeah, I think given that they had a 4-minute gap on the bike, I think he would have got 9th place.
Yeah.
Pretty easy for me.
But guess what?
Lionel
didn't make it to the start line.
You got to be in it to win it.
Got to be in it to win it.
Magnus Ditlev will never win a world title.
No, that's bullshit.
20 meters. Next year in Kona, if it goes to 20 meters, I'm looking at 3 people. I'm looking at Trevor Foley, Magnus Ditlev, and Sam Laidlow. I think it's a completely different race.
KB is in his Lucy Charles second place era.
I mean, you can't. You guys. The guy is Olympic champion. He's Ironman champion, and he's 70.3 world champion. KB can do whatever the hell he wants.
You know what? You know what the bad decision KB made this year is he at the beginning of the year said, I want to race all the best and hardest races in the world, and I want to win all the best and hardest races in the world. So he shows up at Oceanside. He shows up to Texas. I think you'll see a different strategy next year from KB, that he wins the same amount and potentially wins both world titles.
Norwegian method is dead again.
What? Who wrote that?
I say no.
Who wrote that?
I don't know.
Tell him to message me.
Anonymous.
I'd love to get him on a phone call with KB and we can ask KB.
Was this the best 70.3?
How do you say how do you say that with two Norwegians on the podium?
And they clean sweep the podium at Nice.
They're just trying to trigger us.
Trying to get you triggered, Talbot.
Yeah.
Talbot said it earlier. Pat, you think this was the best 70.3 World Championship we've ever seen?
I think as a whole on the weekend, right? I think when you actually take in the racing that we had, male, female, the storylines that were there, thinking about Lucy Charles and Taylor Knibb DNFing in Kona. 4 weeks later, they come back and they go 1-2 at the 70.3 World Championships. You have Kat Matthews, DNF from the race, still win the Pro Series. You have last year's returning champion in the men's race defend his title when I don't think anybody thought that he could, right? You had KB with the year that he had. You had Casper Storn's follow up his Ironman world title with a 70.3 World Championship podium. You had an amazing venue. You had 6,000 age groupers. You know, despite the broadcast woes, I still end up giving this race an A+. I really do.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Before we get into women hot takes, two other names that didn't make it to the start line. Where do you guys think they would have finished? Sam Laidlow on a course like this? Top 5? Top 10?
Sam Laidlow answered this on the broadcast. I think that he's finished 170.3, which was like in 2018.
Top 10?
Sam Laidlow doesn't race 70.3s. We don't even know where he would race in this.
And then Martin Van Riel, who's racing T100 Dubai next week. Top
That's
5?
a hard one.
Podium?
Top 5 for sure.
He'd have been in that front group.
He'd have been in that front group. I think he'd have maybe been. I think that Yella and KB's run would have outmatched him a little bit. I think he'd have maybe been battling it with Jonas and Casper. But
yeah.
How about Casper just running VO2 max, turning around, screaming at KB? Just so cool.
He's a good teammate.
Dude.
He's a good teammate.
He got lucky in Nice, but he almost got lucky again here.
I'd say he did get lucky. He's lucky to be on the podium.
That is true.
If Jonas was on his other bike, I don't think he did it. All right, we got a couple of hot takes for the now second time 70.3 World Champion, Lucy Charles Barclay. Number 1, Lucy is no longer a one-trick pony. She is the best across all 3 disciplines.
Didn't we say like this exact same thing when she did this in St. George? I said to everyone she's running hot in Kona, but that's why I said we need to revisit her Kona buildup. Surely Reese is scratching his head. Something went wrong because she can run. She doesn't need to prove that. She's already done that before.
Yeah. Number 2, her 2024 season, where she had her injury, allowed her to fly under the radar in 2025 to not be a race favorite, considered a race favorite.
There's an element of truth to that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I said this early on in the show. Watching London and Frejus, we should have known that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. I just thought, again, I had to pick why she wouldn't win the race in our bit last week.
Yeah.
And I thought the race was, 6-8 weeks too late for her. It clearly wasn't. So, yeah, good honor. I mean, what can you say? It was an amazing. It was a continuation of the year that she had. She's won 5 races now, 6 races. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Lucy makes these races boring. I'll take this one. Here's the thing: the amount of people that message that Lucy Charles Barclay and Taylor Nim make races boring because they're so dominant. That's what makes the women's sport right now so good. Is we have people that are able to dominate the race, and we don't know which one's going to dominate whenever they show up on the start line.
Yeah, and that's not fair either, because here's the thing. I'm going to be real honest. When Kat Matthews had a 3:29 or whatever the deficit was in T2,
We were like, she's running that.
I thought the Kat was going to close it down.
Yeah.
And so there's part of the storyline here is that there was a race favorite, Kat Matthews, that DNF'd in the middle of the race, and then that all of a sudden made it. But I don't know. I mean, Taylor and Lucy are doing a bunch of lead changes. Like Taylor's attacking her on the bike. Like I don't know. I didn't think it was boring at all.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could say that if you saw Lucy Charles win wire to wire the last 5 years, like a Lewis Hamilton. But Lucy wasn't even the race favorite going into this race. So
it makes it to where, like, I'm going to use a football reference. Tom Brady, there's people that say Tom Brady's dominance was boring. And it's like, okay, well, you're going to have people that are rooting for Tom Brady and people that are going to root against him. If you're one of the people that roots against him, good luck.
Yeah.
Strength of field in the women's race was weak compared to the men. Is it a big blow that the podium from Kona didn't feature and 4th, 5th, and 6th didn't show up?
No.
I don't think so. The women's sport right now is in a much healthier place than it's ever been.
Yeah.
I don't even. Yeah. No.
We appreciate the question, the hot take submission, but that's where we're going to leave it for this one. How about that? Thank you.
Yeah.
4 weeks is too close to have a 70.3 World Championship in Kona.
It's going to be 3 weeks next year.
It's just going to be back to the old way where 70.3 Worlds is first, right?
Yeah, which I'm not totally against.
Yep. No, the certainly that we talked about this. Certainly the timing for the women's race from Kona to Marbella was awkward, but for the men it was much better. I think that we ended up getting knowing that 70.3 Worlds was so late, and then positioned to where it was amongst these other T100 races. Early on in the year, I actually thought the strength of field was going to be much lower for the men in the women's race. I think we got unbelievable fields in both of them.
Yeah.
Do you think that next year we'll have people coming in like not tapering for 70.3 Worlds maybe and just focusing on Kona?
I think those days are over, like who's tapering and not tapering and like all that. Like it's like KB probably didn't taper through almost a lot of his races. It's still...
Yeah, the question's going to be how many athletes potentially skip 70.3 Worlds because they want to do a great camp.
Yeah.
Uninterrupted, be it at altitude, be it closer to Hawaii, be it in Hawaii.
You think skip altogether?
I think
that'll be a lot.
I think it's going to be a lot. I think that you'll also have some that decide to say, okay, hey, I'm going to do 70.3 Worlds, and then I'm going to take a down week, and then I'm going to go do my heat prep to get acclimatized in Hawaii. So I think that you're going to see a different something different for everyone. And so I think that's the only thing that takes away from 70.3 Worlds next year for the people that are racing Kona is they might just go, hey, I want to do this block at altitude and I don't want to come down to race 70.3 Worlds.
I like it a lot too. And to answer that question that you asked, is it too close? 3 weeks, 4 weeks? I think 5 weeks is too close if it's on the other side. Okay.
You think before it's fine?
Before it's a 70.3, so you can recover. On the other side, I think that I think that Kona should be the ending point, in my opinion.
Agreed. Would you like 70.3 Worlds better in like August?
The 3 weeks, that's cool, but the 3 weeks is literally so ideal for athletes that you race, you're on the road, you recover for 1 to 2 days just at your hotel at 70.3 Worlds. Then you can start your big travel because it's a big down week. Then you got 2 weeks prep in Kona. Like it couldn't be better. Is it bad for the amateur athletes? Probably so. That's an expensive time. Probably a lot of divorces will come up from that. But it's good for the pro races.
I'm not going to hit it on this one too much unless you guys want to. Mark ruined Cat's race. I don't know what that necessarily means. I think
It's when he said, in transition, risk everything, and he was talking about his marriage.
Jesus, guys.
Mark will laugh at that. Mark will laugh at that.
He needs to be on the show to defend himself.
Yeah, we gotta wait for him to come back.
Are you kidding me? Mark's sitting in a
nuts.
hotel room right now with his wife that he's already sent a picture. They got bubbles and they got a check sitting on their dresser for 200 G's. You think I got any sympathy for Mark right now? Zero. I got zero. Mark, I love you.
Mark, you want to sponsor the pod next year?
Yeah, for real. Why isn't Mark one of our sponsors?
It should be.
Good gosh.
That's
400 G's.
That's because Pat told him to put all the money towards paying the house off.
And let's remember, this is Cat's money.
That's true.
Cat.
She's not. She's flicking Mark a couple pennies, saying, "Hey, you can go down to the bar."
Mark already knows that. Mark's yelling at his wife, Kat, risk everything. By the way, I just went back to the hotel room. I saw the $200K check, but we need another $100K. Risk it all.
All right, let's move on.
Moving to bike-specific coaches to Chase Taylor didn't work for Ash Gentle, Chelsea, or Kat Matthews. I'd say it helped close the gap. This is what we talked about earlier. They're closing the gap to Taylor at this point in most races.
Just one of them is, in my opinion.
Kat.
Just Kat.
Fair enough. I would love to know what goes through Dan Lorang's mind whenever he has Taylor Knibb and Lucy Charles Barkley. Do you think he sits down and he looks at both their training peaks up and he's like, and you think he predicts who's going to be better?
I think it's a lot. This is just purely my opinion. I don't know this, but I think it's a lot less. I mean, he coaches a cycling team, right? And so he's naturally trying to align people's schedules all the time. And so in cycling, for instance, you could be looking after all 8 athletes that are doing a specific race, and it may not all line up. So all you can do is believe that you did the best prep, the best training for those athletes, and then ultimately it's the athlete's job to deliver. So no, I think there's still a huge amount of curiosity to the whole thing for them.
Yeah. You can recover from a heat stroke faster than we think.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know what he is.
I don't know. I'm not like a doctor to answer that one.
And it goes back to what I said though an hour ago. Those two wanted it.
Yeah.
And that's what you can't ever put a number on, is how bad they wanted it in the bottom of their belly.
Yeah. Fair enough. There were bigger crowds for the women's race than the men's. I don't know if this is a fact or an opinion. Everyone was there for the women's race, obviously. So yes, they were. Let's talk a little bit about the athletes that weren't there. Since we did this for men, let's talk about it for the women. Kate Woff, top 5, top 10, podium, win. What do you think?
Don't care.
Hey, we did it for the men. Let's do it for the women.
Look. Yeah, she would have been top 5, realistically. We haven't,
Ash Gentle, top 10?
Top 5, top 10, yeah.
She's podium last year at 70.3 Worlds.
Yeah, she would have had a great run. She would have rode just fine.
Julie Duran?
Same.
Top 5.
Top 5? We got a lot
I
of
didn't
athletes
mean
in the top
don't care
5.
disrespectfully. I'm just saying I hate this whole like these athletes showed up to race and they targeted this. I just hate this. Like,
you got to be.
What do y'all think? Hey, what do y'all think of Mark Allen? Hey, what do y'all think of Mark Allen had some carbon shoes and a nice bike? How do y'all think he would have done this weekend? It's like, bro, come on now.
Yeah.
Interesting fact. You guys want an interesting fact from the age group racing? I know we don't talk about age group racing much, but here's an interesting fact for you.
How about Sweden? Not Sweden. The Swiss.
What about them?
Didn't they go 1-1, male and female?
Did they win the women's race too? The women's age group race? Oh.
Yeah. Sam Studer
Studer
had a phenomenal race, and Karnina Hedinger. Sorry, I'm sorry. I shouldn't even be reading these names off. It's better if I just don't even read that.
Karina Hengarder.
Yeah, both Swiss athletes. Yeah, phenomenal. I mean,
great.
where would that Sam guy placed in the pro field?
It would have been about 40th.
Yeah, great racing.
Yeah. Another interesting fact from the age group racing: equal slots, men and women, 2 separate days of racing, equal slots. 3,600 men took their slots. 3,200 or sorry, 3,600 men took their slots. 3,200 women took their slots. And then finishing the race, about 400 men didn't finish and about 400 women didn't finish.
So how many men took their slots versus women again?
400 more men took their slots than women.
But there was equal slots given out.
Correct.
That's cool.
Moving on to the races that's going to happen this weekend. T100 Dubai. I have a feeling that this race, we may see some people pull out and not do this race anymore. You have a pretty stacked start list with Kate Woff, Julie Duran. India Lee didn't start the 70.3 World Championship, but people that did, Lucy Charles Barclay, who's now 70.3 World Champion, I'd say she's probably sitting here and she's like, I'll just go and race in Qatar. Qatar for the grand final. Jess Learmonth, maybe. We'll see. Hannah DeVette, maybe. We'll see. Probably because Hayden's racing, so she's more than likely going to be there for that race. Georgia Taylor Brown, Lizzie Rayner, Rebecca Anderberry. I'd say that this is a really stacked start list. If anyone's able to take it to Kate Woff, that will make it very interesting for the race in Qatar for the final and who's going to take the series. However, I believe Kate Woff has to have a pretty bad day in order for it to be any remotely interesting for the grand final in Qatar. On the men's side, you got Hayden Wild, Mika Newt, Matisse Margierier, who just raced, Martin Van Riel, Sam Dickinson, Greg Barnaby. I'd say Morgan Pearson's racing pretty hot right now. He's taking some downtime after the WTCS race, and he's going to be looking to be firing coming into this race. And quite a bit of wild cards for this one, guys.
Yeah, I know people tell me I should be more positive on here. About like T100 and stuff. If you know the dates in advance for Ironman World 70.3 World Championship, I wouldn't put your race a week after unless you're expecting not a lot of people to show up. So
this is the third time that this has happened. They did
it'll
after
be
Nice.
I understand there's some
Kona,
logistic stuff. It's just it's unfortunate from a fan standpoint. I think we all want to see the best athletes in the world. Like you, I don't believe you'll see the likes of Lucy Charles race at Dubai, and so we all want to Taylor Knibb. Yeah, so we all want to see the best athletes race in the world, and so it's unfortunate when these races are a week after because you don't see that, and then you do get a bunch of wild cards. But I mean, Hayden could win this race in Birkenstocks.
That race is going to be on Saturday in Dubai, and if you're in America, we have another tough time zone, so it'll be about 1 a.m. in America if you're watching.
But guess what?
Everywhere else in the world is great, but you can watch it on YouTube.
T100 does an incredible job at that.
So the other race this weekend on Sunday is going to be Ironman Arizona in Tempe for the very last time. Good luck to all the athletes racing. Sam Long is towing the start line, maybe, depending on when his wife's given birth. You also have Joe Skipper, Rasmus Svenningsson, Trevor Foley, Matt Hansen, Ben Canute, Menno Koolhaas, and Ben Hamilton. Matt McElroy is doing this race, maybe one of his last races ever. So huge shout out to everyone going over to do that Ironman Arizona. And on the women's side, you got Alice Albert, Steph Clutterbuck, Anne-Marie Strehol, Rachel Zelinkas, and others towing the line to get ready to race Ironman Arizona this weekend. There's not going to be any coverage of it. However, it's possible maybe we might beep up over and do some coverage on our Instagram. So I want to give a big shout out to Jillian and Gav this weekend at Marbella, making it happen on our socials. Made it feel like we were there and on the ground. So huge shout out to them for making it seem like Pro Tri News was actually there at the race, and it's grown
And-
now to a point where it's not just us.
And Mark representing in the Pro AM.
Yeah, that's right. That was so cool.
Yeah, fun. I mean, dude, I'm so bummed it's not going back. I mean, I really hope it goes back there.
It's almost like we're not just a podcast anymore, guys. Like with all this media that we're doing, it's like we could almost become.
Maybe we should cover more than just the pro athletes. Maybe we should cover the whole sport of triathlon, cover the amateurs, do more shows. I don't know. I do know this. That's the end of the championship season. It was every year we say one of the best seasons ever. I mean, how incredible is it that we get to watch the athletes compete at the highest level at this caliber? And it feels like every year we're just saying over and over, the sport is in an absolute incredible place. That's a wrap on the championship season for Pro Tri News. We will be on to cover the grand finale for T100. We'll have some shows between. We might miss a week or so. Maybe we won't. We'll keep you guys in tune, but can't thank you enough. Also, massive shout out to just all of our incredible sponsors. So many to name. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you guys. And we look forward to seeing you next week.